Welcome to the Babies in Business Podcast. Join your hosts, Rachel and Avram Gonzales, real-life parents and business partners. Each week on Babies in Business, Rachel and Avram create a space for entrepreneurial parents to find their own way. They'll dive into insights on topics like leadership, efficiency, self-awareness, budgeting, and human psychology as they nurture their family and build their business. Here's your hosts, Avram and Rachel.
Hey friends, welcome back to the Babies in Business podcast. I'm here with a guest that I'm so excited to connect with and share with you here today. Her name is Natasha Riley. I've known her now for about 6 or 7 years, maybe a little bit longer than that, which is kind of crazy. She is the owner and founder of Embodied, the Unconditional Center. She's been a healer, a guide for 17 years, probably her entire life. We're going to get into that more on the show today, specializing with and working with families on harmonizing their dynamic. It's going to be a big part of our topic here today. We're going to be diving in deep around food sensitivity, allergies, and so much more. Natasha, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. We got Natasha in her guru pose right now. Maybe I can match it. Right. Okay. But we're going to jump right into it. One of the things and one of the reasons I wanted to bring Natasha out today is because of her unique perspective around food sensitivity and allergies. She shared things with me years ago that have stuck with me since. And we want to do a deep dive with her here today and get to the root of all this gluten-free, food sensitivity, give you a different perspective. As always, our podcast is about entrepreneurial parents finding their own way. So we invite you today to pick up what you like, right? Bring it home, try it on for yourself. And with that, let's jump into it. First question for you, Natasha. Okay, I would love to hear your point of view about food and how it affects and interacts with the body. Love to hear your unique perspective.
Yeah. So food is neutral. So it's really the meaning that you give the food is how it interacts with the body. Okay. So if somebody has, a belief about how gluten is going to affect their body, then that is true for them. And so because food is neutral, it's going to go into the body, and then it's going to, your body is going to have the effect on the food, not the food having the effect on the body. And so then your body is going to take the food, and whatever you believe how it's going to interact with your cells is how it's going to react with your cells.
Interesting. So your point of view is what impacts greatly how that food interacts with the rest of your body. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Okay. Could you give me some examples of that?
Yep. So I'll give you some personal examples. So my son, when he was born, he had a whole bunch of food sensitivities. Okay. And it wasn't so much that he had beliefs about the food per se, but from the time he was born to the time he was 7, he had a whole bunch of gut health related stuff. And he did not believe that he was safe in the world, period. Because of during labor and delivery, I didn't believe that I was safe. And so he's like, well, I must not be safe in the world then, right?
He came in with this belief he picked up from you. Okay.
Correct. Because of our unique experience through labor and delivery. Okay. And so through that experience, because life is experiential, right? And then that's how we form our beliefs. And then, so by the time he was 7, we had to cut out so many foods. He could eat chicken, some fruits, and some veggies.
Wow.
That was it. We couldn't even have bread in our house because he would react so much just to the energy of it. Because when you don't believe that you're safe, right? Food sensitivities, gut health, all that stuff, it stems from safety. And so because he didn't believe he was safe in the world, when we don't believe that we're safe in any situation, it shuts down our gut and puts us into fight, flight, or freeze, right? Because then we're not supposed to be eating and digesting food because that is getting shut down, right? And so when it gets shut down and we eat, it doesn't have the capability, doesn't have the energy and resources to break down the food. And so as soon as I balanced him for I'm safe in the world and his body accepted that new belief, it took 7 minutes and instantaneously he could eat whatever he wanted
Okay, wow.
with 0 reactions. Yeah.
Wow. So how did you discover this? Was there something that you picked up from somewhere else, just an intuitive feeling?
Yeah. So I've always been super intuitive and I've always been an entrepreneur and I've always had to do things my way. I just knew that if I tried to adopt other people's ways, like that wasn't going to work for me. And so why would I think that my child that I birthed and created was going to be any different? Right. And so actually, when a mom is pregnant with the baby, right, you will know that child's personality by the experiences that the mom has during pregnancy and labor and delivery. That's their environment, right? And so I totally just lost my train of thought. What was the question?
How did you figure out this was going on? Like, was there something that led you here? You're an intuitive person.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And so as soon as he was born, I had heard my intuition say, do not vaccinate him. And it was like my intuition just kicked in high gear. And I knew I could not listen to that. And then for 7 years, trying all the methods that everybody else was saying, right? Like you need to take these foods out of the diet. You need to take all these supplements. You need to go to the chiropractor. You need to, I mean, you name it. I literally did it. I had to exhaust all of my outside options first. And then at some point, it was like, then I started learning how to do all the things that were working for him. And then at one point, I was assisting this amazing chiropractor doing craniosacral therapy and myofascial unwinding. And she had did a demonstration of Psych-K, which is muscle testing your subconscious beliefs and then how to change them. And through that experience, I was like, this is what I've been missing all along. And then, but also super fascinating, like the fascia in your body, your connective tissue, right? It's a big, huge sheet that never breaks from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. And it literally encases everything. But not only does it encase everything, it goes through everything, right? Your fascia is actually where your subconscious is.
Because it's through
And so
everything.
every
It's
single,
like a metaphor.
yes,
Okay.
yes. And it's connecting everything. And so when we have a belief that isn't actually true, okay, like I'm not safe, that's not true in like the eyes of God, I would say, right? I'm talking like ultimate truth. It actually will create a pattern in the fascia that twists. So it will literally twist the muscle, twist the organ, put pressure on the veins and the nerves and the energy flow and cutting it off. Okay. And it's like, oh, how many beliefs do I have in my body that are actually not true and that are twisting my body up, causing pain? right? But then, of course, on top of that, you have like emotional trauma that you go through, that the emotions get stuck in the body also, right? And so it was through learning Psych-K and muscle testing in that degree and listening to my intuition that just connected the dots.
And you just followed it. Used the tools that you
Yeah.
had. You'd exhausted everything.
Yeah.
I think a lot of
Yeah.
parents are feeling like that in ways when their kids are struggling with this kind of stuff. Like, what do I do? So you got to some level of breaking point, led you on this journey of discovery, and now you're helping
Yeah.
and facilitating this for
Because,
folks.
yeah, 100%. So it was like the breaking point was I would take another food out of his diet that he was reacting
Right.
to, and then everything would be cool for like a week. And then because we didn't fix the underlying problem, he would pick another food to react to,
Yeah.
right? And then we'd have to figure out what food was causing like the skin eczema and all and hit, but it wasn't so much even like the physical symptoms, it was the emotional, like you could not control him for like 6 weeks because his body would react and like he'd be like scaling the walls, like so hyper.
Wow.
Um and his brain just wouldn't stop. And so yeah, I'm like, okay, at what point is he not going to be able to eat anything? That was really the breaking point. And then I'm like, okay, I've been doing everything that I should be doing, right? That has helped to some degree, but it's not eliminating the actual problem, right? And it's like, okay, God would not make a body that couldn't thrive in its environment, that couldn't eat certain foods. Like, what is actually creating this problem, right? And so I prayed one day and I was like, okay, very specifically, like asking, if I don't need to take him to these other people, then, show me that I don't need to take them and exactly how like I wanted it to happen. And then also because I had this deep-seated desire to heal him, I'm like, either take this deep-seated obsession, desire away so I can just go on with my life knowing that this is how it's going to be, or show me the way. And that's when all the answers came flooding in because God's like, finally, you got it and you're listening.
I love this. So this is a really great example of feeling unsafe, literally from point of origin. What are some other environmental things that are happening, maybe in the household, that can cause children to feel unsafe as well? Like, what are some common things that you're seeing that are correlated to all this?
Parents
Okay.
fighting, not being heard,
Oh,
not being validated for their emotional experiences, not having a say. I mean, yes, there's a difference between, I'm the parent, right? And helping to like navigate through life together as a family unit, right? Um, or being the like dictator as a parent. Like, this is what I said and this is what it's going to be. So sit down and shut up,
mm,
right? That will immediately, especially from what I have observed, like these kids that are coming in now, it's like the time frame like when you and I were growing up, right? Like that was like the norm, right? Of like, I'm the parent, you're going to do what I say and whatever else. But I know for myself, like I came into this world being like, okay, like I can make a difference in this world, right? And so I chose a family that needed some help
mm,
to learn how to love unconditionally. And so, and that was a shit show. Like it was good, but it was a shit
yeah.
show, right? It was hard work daily. And eventually I just got so worn down fighting the good fight, right? That then I suppressed and shut down until I didn't, until I had my own kids.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's so interesting. And I think talk about this with other guests before. Cell phone screen time, major thing right now. Do you think this is causing some disconnection between parents, kids, and how much is
It is
presence involved
definitely
in making your family feel safe?
Building a business while raising a family can be tough to juggle for any entrepreneur. Knowing where to focus and how to spend your limited time is critical to your success. That's why Babies in Business has produced and made available a fantastic audio resource for you. It's titled 5 Key Focus Areas to Build a Profitable Business Without Burnout. During this short training, Rachel and Avram peel back the curtain on their secrets to building a business that serves your family, your dreams, and beyond. To download your free copy of the 5 Key Focus Areas, go to babiesandbiz.com/download. Again, that's babiesandbiz.com/download to get your free copy. We hope you enjoy. Now, back to the podcast.
Presence is everything. Yes. I mean, I'm definitely guilty of allowing my kids to have more screen time than I think probably they should. But there's that thin line of balance, right? Not overtly controlling them and not underly just letting them do whatever that they want to, right? It's coming to an understanding together, oh, how do you feel after you've been in front of a screen for X amount of time?
Helping them understand, feel that, tap into that.
Yeah. Yes. And that reminds me of an experience that I had with my 8-year-old daughter last year. So she was 7 at this time, and she was trying on lying, right? Kids are going to want to have all the experiences, right? And so she was trying on lying, and I was like, Violet, I know you're lying, right? And she just broke into tears, right? Right away. And I'm like, okay, first of all, look at my face. I'm not mad at you. This is a great, healthy learning experience for you, right? So automatically bringing her freeze, because that's her normal stress response, down. Look at my face. I'm not mad. Okay. This is normal. This is how we learn through experiencing. So, and then flipping it back onto her so she can actually talk, right? How does this feel in your body? So she can correlate the feeling. And I said, okay, this is what lying feels like in your body. This is what it will feel like every single time you lie. And so now she knows what that feels like.
Yeah, you didn't tell her how to feel or what to feel,
right,
or how to interpret it. You asked her some questions and she came to a certain level of awareness that she now gets to cultivate.
Yes.
That's badass.
Right? Yeah. This is healthy parenting, right?
It's so cool. I think one of the things that you touched on that was such a gift for me growing up was something that my mom did for me. You talked about, well, there's this balance between letting your kids just do whatever and then kind of being their guide. One of the things that she did for me was she allowed my friends and I to drink in high school. There was only one rule. Well, two. One, your parents also need to know that you're over here drinking. And number two, I get your car keys and you don't get to leave the house. Otherwise, go nuts. by the time that we got to college, none of us were really that interested in getting hammered. We were like the babysitters for all of our friends because we had gotten all that out of our system. It wasn't a bad or wrong or, um, you know,
It was a safe environment,
yeah.
right? For you guys to experience what that would be like,
Hmm.
right? Now, if your mom or if you didn't have a safe experience, right? Then there's like this adrenaline rush and like sneaking around and lying and whatever else that happens, that then that ties into like drinking,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, that just is a whole different dynamic
It
then.
really is. So I can't believe how fast time is going right now. I have one question before we get into our rapid fire round. And I just want to hear, because I know people are probably wondering, what is going on when you clear people in like 7 minutes and then their whole life changes? Like can you explain that a little bit and then maybe give us, just for funsies, one of the most extreme before and afters you've navigated?
Yeah. Yeah. So what is happening? There is there's many, many different layers to it. It's very
Yeah.
nuanced. So when somebody comes to me when they have a food sensitivities or gut health stuff, right? Like maybe they have celiac, maybe they have Hashimoto's, maybe they have, whatever the extreme is. We get like their subconscious for whatever reason. I think it's just like the energy that I am, their subconscious literally starts talking to me. It can't not spill its guts to me, literally. And so, if somebody's holding back with what trauma that they've experienced, then like I can't get to the root, right? And so honesty has to be in the forefront. And then also, while I'm asking them questions, it's like things not so random, but like just memories will just pop up in their head that then I'm like, okay, tell me what's popping up here, right? Because that will give us clues into where we need to navigate. And so then I'll go through a muscle test. Okay, what does this person need to believe in order to heal their gut completely, 100%? Okay. And then I will give them that exact belief. And then they will just repeat it over and over and over again. Now, you can say something and not have it hit or land, right? But that only happens when you're not allowing yourself to actually feel what's happening in your body, right? Like, so as they're saying it, they're actually unwinding the fascia that's holding that pattern. And then the emotions and the memories come to the surface. They come to the skin, right? That's where we feel, on the skin. And then as it starts to move out of the skin and go into the energy field to be actually released, then that's when the tears come. That's when the anger comes. That's when whatever the emotion that's tied into the experience that then locked this into place for them, that's when that starts to move out. But they have to go through like the releasing, they have to empty it out, right? In order for the new truth to land in their body, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. Like you
Yeah.
said, many layers, tons of nuance. There are
Yes.
things that are happening in a session that you just abridged that might take 2 hours, or several sessions that you get to the root, clean the tank, put in some new programming, kind of, right? Like the real
Yeah.
truth,
Yes.
what's true for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they
Yeah.
can now embody something different. Yeah.
Yes. And it's working on like a frequency level. Okay. That's the most important like piece to it too. Because when you're working on a frequency level, say you have that trauma stored in your body, that's a low frequency, right? That's something that we're avoiding, and whatever you resist persists, right? And like we're emanating these frequencies out. Well, if we're stuck in fear all the time, we're literally a magnet. So fear is the frequency of 50. So we're going to be a magnet to every frequency that's at 50, which is every single pathogen.
Right.
So if we raise our frequency above fear, then we can actually repel the pathogens.
Right. Yeah, this is getting into some mystical stuff that you hear stories about that's for real, you know. I've heard stories
Yeah.
about, you know, monks like literally breathing on railroad tie spikes and them just like melting over. It's this different
Right.
frequency and this level that they're playing at, you know, drinking poison, having no
Yeah, I
effect.
was just going to say, yes, because it's like they believe and they have been trained that will not harm their body.
It's wild,
And
right?
so, yeah, yeah. And then you had asked me,
Oh, something like an
what's like the
extreme before and
craziest?
after. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So actually, it's funny. I was just thinking about this earlier today. So I had this guy come in. He drove in like 3 hours, and he literally was allergic to nearly everything, like laundry soap, candle scents, grass, like almost every food known to man. Bananas. I had never heard of somebody being allergic to bananas before, but and so he came in with a list of probably like 50 to 100 things, and he left after 2 hours done. And then on top of that, he also automatically quit chewing
Uh,
as a result to that also, because the addictions like just were out of his body.
wow. Folks, can you imagine that? How much your world can change just by getting to the root. It's a fascinating conversation. Love to have more of it. I feel like we just started getting into some of the wild shit that I knew that I could expect to talk with you about. This is like the good old days, Natasha. It's so good to see you.
Right?
Let's
Yes,
do
you
some
too.
rapid fire, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, see how quick you can answer these. Couple questions for you here. What's your
All right.
favorite part of being a mom right now?
Honestly, like the relationship that I have cultivated with my kids. Like every single one of them is so unique. I have 5 kids. And so their personalities and they know that they can come to me with absolutely anything, and helping them to navigate through what problems are coming up, or you know maybe they're having an issue with a friend, or my oldest son who's 25, like he just started his own construction business, like helping him to navigate through that. So the relationship is the best.
That's cool. What advice would you give to a mom who's feeling pressure to parent a certain way?
I would ask her why she feels pressured in the first place, and all, like, to get to the root of that, right? Because everybody has their own thoughts and opinions and beliefs on how you should parent, right? And everybody is going to give you their unsolicited advice, whether you want it or not, right? And really to get like confident and maybe do like a deep dive into like what kind of parent do you actually want to
Mm,
be? What kind of relationship do you want to have with your children? And is it coming from like the pendulum swing of like, okay, I was parented this way, so I'm going to do the opposite. I did that with my first child, right? And then because it's like the pendulum has to swing, right? If I don't want it this way, then I'm going to do it the opposite way. And then it comes into balance. I mean, you can see that in the world right
it's
now,
beautiful.
right?
I love that answer for so many reasons. What is something that is really challenging that you're navigating as a parent right now?
Challenging would be my 15-year-old daughter. She has been having like physical SI joint pain for the last probably year. I know why she has it. And I like try to like help her to navigate that, right? She didn't feel, because it's like left side is mom and right side's dad, masculine, feminine, right? And so like her dad was not supporting her with a lot of different things. But her pain was on her left side, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And then one day it was like, oh, it makes total sense. She feels guilty that she has to like weigh all her responsibilities on me,
Mm,
and that she feels like I'm the only one that is supporting her, right? Now, to navigate a 15-year-old girl through this, like if anybody can do it, I can do it. However, you know, it's she has to be
yeah.
ready.
Like you mentioned earlier, that willingness has to be there. That's the beginning of change, right? Well, after the awareness part.
Yeah.
What is last
Yes.
one for you? What's something that you recently learned from one of your children that has helped you in your business?
Mm. Oh boy. I don't I don't know if I can think of just like one thing. Like honestly, like what's coming to mind is like just the willingness to learn from my children every single day. They teach me something, like they actually teach me way more than I can teach them. And so, like, n- getting out of my own way, letting my ego kind of like take a back seat, right? Like, even though I'm older and I'm wiser, like, they teach me so much more than I could probably ever teach them. But we learn
Yeah.
together, right?
I know I made it hard for you too. 5 children, some are adult children, right? Some are like still pretty small. Yeah, didn't make it easy for
Yeah.
you.
Well, Violet, my youngest is 8.
Yeah, which
So,
is crazy because when I met you, she was like 2, maybe.
yeah.
Oh, goodness. Well, Natasha, it's been
I don't think I was even pregnant with her when we
that
met.
might be true. We'll have to
Yeah.
inspect the
I don't think.
timeline. Hey, it's been great
Yeah.
having
Yeah. Yeah.
you. I know that listeners are probably interested in connecting with you. Are there certain places on social media or via your website or something like that that you'd want people to reach out?
Right. I am revamping my website right
Cool.
now, so that is a
Nice.
no-go. But, on Facebook, if you reach out to me there, Natasha Christina Riley there, and then also on Instagram. And then if you wanna go to my, Facebook business page, that's God Embodied, the Unconditional
Okay,
Center.
great. We'll put that in the show notes for you to connect with Natasha. And then I also know that you recently did, and we touched on this today, a bunch of work around fascia. You did a 5-day challenge. Was it the Fascia Freedom class?
Fa
Fascia?
Yeah,
Tell me a
Fascia
little bit about
Freedom.
that and
Yeah.
where people can
Yeah, yeah.
find that.
Yeah, so that is actually in my free, Facebook group just called God Embodied. Yeah, that was like a 5-day, but then I threw in a, 6-day free bonus, like, it's all free in there. But that literally works through, like, the whole entire body. Learning how to do it on yourself, like, is so much more therapeutic than somebody else actually doing it on you. Because then you know exactly what's coming up for you in that moment and how gentle or how fast that you can actually move through it.
Mm,
So,
powerful.
and then on the sixth day, like I get a little bit woo woo and we go into the energetics of it. And like, yeah,
Sometimes you got to break them in easy, Natasha, right? It's like
right.
when your dog needs medication, you put it inside of the piece of hot dog, right? So that they'll actually eat it. They go for the hot dog, but the medicine's inside. I think this is kind of like that. Ease them in one way,
Yep.
discover a whole new you. Thank you for being on the
Yeah.
podcast.
Well, it's like laying the
Yeah.
foundation first, right? So they have an understanding of it first. Yeah.
Well, I can't
So,
wait for people to connect with you. We'll add the group to the show notes as well. If you're listening right now, make sure you go subscribe to the Babies in Business podcast. If you haven't already, connect with us at Babies in Biz Pod. That's on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all those places. And check out all the short clips we're going to make from this episode. Natasha just brought it today. And if you loved what she had to share, let us know. Might just have to bring her back soon. Thanks again, my friend. Thank you for listening in, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Babies in Business podcast. Who do you know that would benefit from hearing this episode? Share it with them and post about it on social media. You can find the show notes for this episode, free downloads, and connect with the rest of the community at babiesandbiz.com. We'll see you next time.